Welcome back to More Alice. Today I wanted to take some time to show you a more advanced technique known as creating custom methods. Now remember, methods are animation actions that you drop and drag from the left sidebar over here onto your scene editor down below. So creating a custom method allows you to put together two or more animation actions so that you can use them throughout, or what we call in programming call, through your story's programming code. Custom methods save you time, keep your actions consistent, and make it easier for others who want to use your code to understand it. To start, I want to show you a little animation I put together, and then we'll pull it apart and I'll show you where I built the custom call. So you'll see here I have a moth that's revolving around a woman. And then we have a bee who's threatening, and he is also on a loop. He'll be finished in a minute here. So you see there's a lot of action going on here. And when you're telling a complex story in Alice, your code's going to get pretty long. So you want to try to take advantage of shortening it wherever you can. So here he's following up. There goes some more butterflies flying off. Then he goes away. He comes back and he'll go away again, and then the custom method is this happy moth, where the moth is throughout my story, which I haven't finished yet, will fly away in joy when the bee is not there. So first off, you kind of have to decide what your story is going to be. So looking at the code here, what you'll see is the moth turning, and I've disabled it here, and we'll talk about that why in a minute, is turning at speed left, this line here, and the second action is he resizes. And what I created was a custom method called World Happy Moth. So I'm going to show you how I did that. First off, I like to create all my custom methods under the world, because this way it allows them all to roll up here under one place. If you create a custom method under a specific character, which you can certainly do, then what it would do is you would have to have moth highlighted to see that method. And I really find it easier when I'm programming to have all of my custom methods in one place while I'm trying to put my story together. So now let me show you what I did here. It's going back to world here. So when I created Happy Moth, the way I did that was well, first let's back up. Before I create a custom method, I like to actually do what I did here, put the programming line by line without rolling it up, just to plain make sure it works. So in this case, I've already done that. So after I've done that, and you see we're still here under world, my first method, when you click on create a new method, you're going to get a new, well, it'll ask you to name it, and we're going to call it test just for now. And you'll see under this object where I selected to place it under world, we get a third one here. You get a new tab, and you get a new editor screen. So in this case, since the object that I want to make, the animations I want to put together are under moth, go ahead and click moth, and then you can pull the moth options down. And in this case it was, and you can toggle between them. If you don't remember what it is, go back to your tab where you were playing with it unrolled up. So to remind yourself, you can say moth turn at speed left. So let's go back to world test. And that is moth turn at speed. So basically you're going to do the same things you always were doing, only you're just repackaging it. Let's see, what was the other thing here that we did? And it was duration 6 seconds as seen by blue light. So I'm just going to take you step by step through this. Again, you know, if I'm giving it a custom, we have to call it on the calculator here. And seen by, and this blue light is just to tell it this is where I want it to rotate around. I've hidden the blue light, and we'll in another discussion talk about some of the illusions that you can create here. There is a blue light that he's rotating around. And then we also had moth resize. And made him half as big because he's kind of, happy, but he's, kind of getting small too, just so he can be lighter and freer. So when you do this, and you go back to world, you're going to see, there it is. Now, I'm going to close this because you don't really need to have it open once you've got it, and Alice automatically saves it, so you don't need to hit save. So I'm going to close world test. And then what I do is when I want to call a method, a custom method, you can drag and drop just like you would any animation. If you go to the bumpy area of this code, you'll see, for example, if you right click, you can disable, and what that does is it makes the code, it causes the Alice to ignore the code. So in this case, these two things are the same thing, but I wanted to make sure that was true. So I have got, as you can see, these disabled, and if you want to re-enable them, you just click enable. But in this case, they say the same thing, so we don't need that. So what you would do then, you can drag your method over just like you would any other thing, in this case. Now these two are the same thing, so I just wanted to show you the mechanics of it. So at first I think it's probably a little bit daunting, but I wanted to give you at least a step-by-step. I think you'll probably have to do it 3 or 4 times to feel comfortable. And pick some easy movements, pick some easy characters, pick a story that's not too complicated. But you'll see I've used it up here, and that was the first moth rotation around her head, and then I called it later, and I didn't have to do this other programming. I just could call the single action, and I called it again down here when the bee appeared and disappeared and reappeared. So I only had to do this. I didn't have to program revolutions around, and so it really did kind of cut my work by at least half. So anyhow, that in a nutshell is how you do custom animations or custom methods. And in later discussions, I will use the same animated short, and we'll talk about how you can work it into more fun animation stories. So until the next time, we'll talk soon.